The summer season is here, folks, and yes, with it being the month of June, it's also Pride Month. So I decided that the movie that I was going to cover for Pride Month is Transformers. No. Oh, Jesus, this didn't go to plan. So I guess the long and short of it is that I am sorry, and I know that it was a bad joke, and that I should never have even made it. Especially talking about a franchise like Transformers, which, hasn't been the best as of recent years, but I will do better, and I promise I'm going to. And you can hit that subscribe button for me. That'd be great. Thank you. Bye. So Transformers Rise of the Beast has hit theaters this weekend, and if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I didn't actually think I was going to go see this one. I've kind of been out of the Transformers game for a while. This is just something that the franchise kind of got stale and stagnant. On our previous iteration of this, I actually fell asleep during the last one. Not Bumblebee, the one before that about the knights and Merlin and all that junk. But I really haven't been in love with this franchise for a long time. I respect the fans, and I get that there are a ton of them who grew up with the cartoons, comics, and figures. Like, believe me, I get it. I understand your love for it. But these movies, they've been pretty lately. I mean, let's just go through the series real quick. I'll give you my quick thoughts. So Transformers 1 comes out in 2007, and I was... how old was I? I was 9. I was 9 years old. So needless to say, I was the exact target audience for this. I bought a Bumblebee toy. I was hyped up. I was ready to see it. And I enjoyed it. And I still enjoy it to this day. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but it is one of those things where I just know in general the scope of how people feel about the franchise. And this one's still relatively positive. So I'm going to have to go back and probably give it a watch at some point down the road and really reassess those thoughts. Maybe on this channel, I don't know. But for me, I say the first one is pretty solid. One writer's strike, and a few years later, we get Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And again, I was probably about 11 at this point, and it's just one of those things where I am the target audience for this. I was excited. I loved all the first stuff in the first Transformers movie, so of course them doing it more bombastically with bigger Transformers, the Devastator in Egypt, like, hey, I was all for it. The racist robots went over my head. The kind of jumbled story went over my head. I was just there to see a cool Transformers movie, and that's what I got. I understand that this is probably on the weaker side of them as we go along with the franchise, but for me, this will always be associated with that fun 2009 summer atmosphere that my 11-year-old self went into. And then again, just a couple years later, we get graced with Transformers Dark of the Moon. And this was one that I actually really, really liked. I thought that this was a great crescendo to the trilogy. I had a lot of fun with it. I liked the moon landing stuff. There was definitely some stuff that kind of grated on me with like Sam's character and moving on. Megan Fox wasn't in it. I didn't know why. I was like, what the hell's going on here? But it's one of those things where it's just like, this did feel like a climactic ending to this trilogy. I thought that it was really fun. It was big, bombastic. The big worm going in the building, eating people up was really cool. Like, I had a lot of fun with this. Again, I don't know how it's going to hold up on a rewatch, but for me, I still think this is pretty positive. This and the last one, they're kind of hovering around that 2-hour, 30-minute mark, and the one previous was, 220 something. This is where things kind of start to get a bit messy with the times, where this one definitely has some moments that drag. But as far as that third act sequence with the big stuff in like Boston or whatever, very cool. I had a lot of fun. I liked it. 2014 hits and we get Transformers Age of Extinction, and this is the one where Marky Mark takes over. We're kind of just getting away from the Shia LaBeouf character. Michael Bay is back. I know they kind of talked about maybe replacing him at some point, and this is where things kind of really start to fall off the wagon. By this point, I'm a much older person. I'm getting through life. I'm in high school, and I'm starting to realize that maybe these movies just being big dumb action movies weren't all there is to cinema and, you know, the filmmaking landscape. There's really good dramas and there's really good things to wrap you in, and horror and all kinds of stuff. So Transformers was kind of getting that point of just like, okay, why are we what are we doing here? And I was a big Mark Wahlberg fan at the time, so I was excited to see him in this. And I remember the first 45 minutes of this movie, I was really on board. I was really having fun. I liked the bad guy. He seemed sinister and like really gritty and mean, and he got the green face and everything. He's doing really cool stuff. And then, he had the face gun. The face gun, his gun transformed into, or his face transformed into a gun. A cannon, I think. But yeah, no, that was cool. But yeah, after the first 45 minutes, it really started to grate on me. It was a slog for 2 hours. This was the one that had dinosaurs in it. The Dinobots. Everybody was excited about the Dinobots. Where were the Dinobots? Well, they didn't show up till like literally the 2 hour mark. And that was a chore. And yeah, I can say that I was pretty on the fence at this point of just saying, I'm done with this franchise. I don't want to see another one. Let's just leave it here. But no, they couldn't do it. In 2017, we got Transformers The Last Night. And okay, this was where the franchise died, in my opinion. This is where this original timeline, per se, just completely fell apart, is dead, gone, goodbye. We don't need any more of it, because this movie is boring, confusing, and just straight up doing nothing new. There's nothing fancy, nothing cool. I think the big twist of it was that Unicron was Earth and everything, and that's supposed to be like the Galactus style bad guy for the Transformers universe. You know, it's this whole big mess of a movie, and honestly, I was over it. I fell asleep at one point in this movie, and I woke up and they were on a submarine. And then I got through the rest of the movie. Yeah, we reviewed this back on the day on this channel when we had all of our old videos up, and I was none too pleased with this one, and neither was Luke. So yeah, I was checked out. Transformers, done. I was ready to go. I hate it. But just when I thought I was out, they pulled me right back in, of course. So Bumblebee comes out. I had no interest in this movie. I was done. Fuck Transformers. We're good. I'm out of here. Goodbye. And the reviews come out, and it's actually reviewing pretty well. I didn't see it opening weekend. I think I waited like 2 weeks maybe, because there was a lot of stuff coming out about that time in 2018. So I went and saw it being pretty apprehensive. I think, I took a little bit of the devil's lettuce with me, and, I had a little bit of a fun time there before I went to see it. And, honestly, this was a good movie, and I still think that. This is the one that I've revisited the most in the last couple of years. I thought that Travis Knight did a really solid job of bringing my favorite Transformer, Bumblebee, onto the big screen and kind of just giving him his own little side story. And if you want to count it like this, I guess this is kind of the pseudo reboot film leading into where we are now. And I gotta say, Bumblebee really got things on track and proved that not every Transformers movie has to be over 2 hours. This was only an hour and like 50-something minutes. So there you go. That's the sweet spot. And yes, so now that we've kind of established, Paramount doesn't want to say it, but I think we all kind of get it now, that they're rebooting the Transformers universe with these films. They still haven't decided, I guess, if they want to cut the Michael Bay ones out entirely or do this, but there's a whole messy timeline if they don't. So I don't know. Paramount, just make an announcement, say something, get this figured out, because you're confusing folks. You confused some of my friends that went with me, and I don't like that. Knock it off, Paramount. Do better. But anyway, I got to check it out today, and I had fun. I thought that this was a fun entry. This is being directed by Stephen Caple Jr., who's responsible for Creed 2, which I really enjoyed, and he was responsible for a little film called The Land, talking about a city just north of me that anybody with a little bit of dignity will say is their hometown, but I will say that my hometown is Akron. Yes, so do with that information what you please, but I'm close enough to Cleveland to also say that I appreciate when someone near where I'm from gets to step up into the big leagues and do some fun stuff here. And I really thought that he brought a fun voice to this, not necessarily a unique voice, especially in the presentation and style, because this was definitely very much in line with the Michael Bay Transformers movies. When you're looking at just how they act, the story structure, all of that, it was very much a Michael Bay Transformers movie. But there was definitely hints of something more here, laying the groundwork for something. Hopefully, we'll see if this continues. But yeah, to kind of sum things up for us here, so Bumblebee happens. That's where we kind of have the new timeline. We now have Transformers Rise of the Beast, which takes place about 10 years later. And yeah, we're dealing with Maximals this time, which is kind of from Transformers Beast Wars, I believe. And again, not a Transformers expert by any means. But yeah, no, they come in. There's the gorilla guy, Optimus Primal, and the cheetah, and the falcon, and the rhino. You know, I'm sorry, I don't have everybody's name figured out. But yeah, they're all here. And unlike Rise of Extinction, they have a bit more screen time and a bit more to chew on. You know, it's one of those things where it does take a little while to get to them, but of course, we're establishing new human characters, which I gotta say have also vastly improved. Anthony Ramos stars as our lead character here. His name is Noah Diaz. And then we have Dominique Fishback coming in as like kind of the second there with Elena Wallace. I definitely like these two. I thought that they had some chemistry together. It wasn't always perfect. I don't think that they were really going for like this, oh, we gotta fall in love kind of archetype, which I appreciate. That's definitely what I want to see more of in movies like this. Like men and women can just be friends. It's cool. You know, that's fine. But you know, I like that. I thought that they brought, at least again, some more entertainment value in the sense that they weren't over the top archetypes like Sam and his family were throughout the original series. And you know, I just thought that it was something that you could latch onto very easily and relate to. They're struggling, you know, everybody's just trying to get jobs and being interns and everything. It's like, you know, if you're a younger person, you get that, you know, if you've been there, you get that, you know, you get it, you know, you understand it, you understand this is, you get it, you struggle. This is America.
This is America.
To round out the rest of the human cast, we have Dean Scott Vasquez as Chris, who is Noah's younger brother. Definitely had some really good chops on him. He had a lot of real emotional moments with Noah, and I thought that they really grounded the film. They had some really cute moments involving the two brothers there, and one of the Autobots, which I'll talk about here in a minute. And then another great character I liked was the character of Reek. He's kind of a friend of Noah's, and yeah, I thought that he did a really good job, and that is Toby. No, wait, 1 second.
Wigway. Okay, so the N is silent. Wigway. Toby Wigway.
So Toby Wigway was really great as Reek. I thought that he had a lot of great humor to it. He was definitely a good bit of fun. I liked the dynamic between Noah and Reek a lot. I thought that they both really played off of each other very well, giving us very different perspectives in the sense of just their neighborhood and where they grew up. And, you know, in general, I just thought that he was a joy. I'd love to see this guy continue on if they want to keep going with this story and, you know, really get him more involved with the Autobots. And rounding out with our Transformers, we have Peter Cullen, of course, coming back to play Optimus Prime, Pete Davidson as Mirage, and Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal. Now, starting off with just these three, I thought, of course, Peter Cullen did a good job. A couple of my friends said that he might be getting up there in age a little bit, sounding a little gravelly. I tend to agree. I think that maybe, you know, it's about time we start thinking about recasting. Again, I'm sorry. God, geez, I cannot win today, all right? Jeez, all right? It's just a roll, okay? He's doing great. They're going to replace him with AI anyway, probably, or something. Pete Davidson is somebody that I seem to be pretty hit or miss with as far as his roles go and everything. I thought he did really well as Mirage. A lot of great humor, really heartfelt sequences between him, Noah, and his brother Chris. They really did a lot of fun stuff with that character, kind of stepping in as like the Sam and Bumblebee relationship that we had from the first series of films. Ron Perlman did great as Optimus Primal. Honestly, I didn't even know it was Ron Perlman until after we got out of the movie. Like, I was just surprised. He didn't sound like any Ron Perlman that I've ever heard. And, you know, I thought that he did a good job. I thought that it was fun for what he was given. But it was just one of those things. Again, I gotta say, if I didn't know it was him, good job, really solid. Michelle Yeoh pops up as Air Razor. She doesn't get a ton of screen time. She's been having a crazy great last couple years with her movie Everywhere All at Once and all that, doing really well, winning Best Picture. So it's really cool to see her pop up in another big franchise. I know she was just in Shazam, Fury of the Gods, which we'll talk about that maybe another time. But I thought that she was great. I liked her character. Her and Ron Perlman's Transformers or robots or whatever you want to call them, they had a really strong connection together, and I thought that they played off each other very well and basically just guiding our characters through this world and what's going on. The last person I'm going to highlight here is Peter Dinklage, playing our main bad guy. I like Peter Dinklage a lot. As far as this bad guy goes, he could have been voiced by anybody and I wouldn't have known the difference. I'm sorry. I no shade on Peter Dinklage. I think the guy's great, but there was nothing all that stand out for me to really be like, okay, this is cool. And I think that's kind of the problem with everybody here except for Mirage. Like, I did say some nice things about Ron Perlman and Michelle Yeoh and Peter Cullen, but at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where they're kind of just going through the motions here as far as the script goes when it comes to the Transformers. There is an object, they must keep the object or collect the object or protect the object. We got to do that to save the world and save potentially Cybertron. And that's pretty much Transformers in a nutshell. That's all of the movies except for Bumblebee. And I think that the fact that they kind of went on to do that was a little bit of a disappointment for me. It did just kind of leave me sitting there going, okay, let's just go through the Transformers emotions, and we kind of know how it's all going to end, except we didn't, and I will get to that because that's a spoiler, so I'll save that for the end. I gave my thoughts a little bit on just the story structure itself, but the one thing they didn't skimp out on is the visual effects. I think everything here looks really top-notch. For such a visual effects heavy film, it's kind of awesome that it was one of those things where this was really great. Like, all the moving parts and everything looked really polished compared to something like in The Last Night, where stuff was really starting to kind of bug me in the way that it looks. I would say the real big set piece stuff, that's where I kind of start to shake my head a little bit and just say, like, this just looks video game-esque, but like not good video game, not like God of War, but like bad video game, like video game from 2000 whatever video game. It is what it is. It comes with the territory. But the Autobots and Decepticons themselves, I don't think they're Terracons? Terracons. Anyway, they look fine. They look good. So overall, where do I sit with Transformers Rise of the Beast? I mean, for the most part, like I've said, it's a Transformers movie for sure. I had more fun with it, more enjoyment out of it than I did with, again, some of the last few Michael Bay movies. But they just really need to get out of this cycle of just constantly saving the world. I like the smaller story approach that Bumblebee had. I liked really getting into the character of that and just his dynamic with people and having it just kind of focus around one Autobot as opposed to the team for right now. I think that we've just had so many Transformers movies where we're saving the world, we're saving Cybertron, whatever, that I'm just kind of tired of it. And I was hoping to get a little bit more out of this with that. Maybe have some kind of a pseudo rivalry between, the Maximals and the Autobots. Maybe we don't even see any Decepticons. But no, they decided to go with the whole Unicron thing and kind of have this end of the world plot. But I think that as far as it goes, this is a pretty good representation of how to do that right. Again, this movie doesn't overstay its welcome like the last two films did. It does kind of glide through. Of course, there are moments where I sat there and was just like, okay, we're going through the motions, we're doing what we can here. But overall, again, the cast is a lot of fun. I thought that they added a lot to the human characters, and the new additions into the Autobots were a lot of fun. And I mean, really, that's all we're here to see. And the action was really well produced too, I gotta say. I thought that it was a lot cleaner than some of the last entries, and I thought that you could really focus on everything and see what was going on. Again, it does kind of divulge into just a wall of generic enemies versus our Autobots, and that was kind of disappointing and bleh, but that's kind of what you get when you get into these movies. They're crowd pleasers. They want to put butts in seats. These movies were meant for 9-year-old Dylan, and now you're sitting here with a 25-year-old Dylan, and I'm complaining about it. But at the end of the day, where does this sit for me as a film? It's pretty middling. As a Transformers film, it's pretty up there. It is pretty good. I'd probably put this one behind maybe the first Transformers movie, which is, ahead or just behind Bumblebee, I guess I should say. So yeah, it's sitting there in a nice 3 spot, sitting there right at number 3. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. But again, I just think that they really need to do something more as far as just centering on some of these Autobot characters. Stop doing the end of the world thing. It's done. We get it. The world ends. I do not care. So many movies do that. And like I said, there was kind of a big reveal at the end of this one, and I gotta talk about it. It's the whole reason why I wanted to do this review, because I didn't see it coming. And so if you don't want this spoiled for you, and you want to go see Transformers Rise of the Beasts without knowing this information, that's it. That's the end of the video. Subscribe. Check out my other channel, SplatterCast, that I co-host with my buddy Luke. He didn't come see the Transformers movie. I couldn't get him, so it's just me here. But over there, you got both of us for the most part. So yeah, do that. All right, so to get into the spoiler, and I will keep it brief, but I think it's pretty neat. The end of the film, Noah goes for another job interview. And, this time he's sitting across the table with the dude, and they're talking, and the dude starts talking about Peru and him hanging out with the Transformers. And Noah's all like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. And he doesn't sound like that. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, he's sitting across the table. He's talking to this guy, and the guy's like, hey, we could use a guy like you, and we're going to pay for your brother's medical bills. It's going to be great. And, you're going to never have to worry about that shit. Anyway, here's my card. I'm going to open this wall and I'm going to step through it. And it's a big science lab and it's all this cool stuff. And the guy, Noah, he flips over the card. And what does it say? It says G.I. Joe. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. That I didn't expect. That seems pretty fun. I know some people, after I got out of the theater and started looking into it, are a little wishy-washy about that, considering the G.I. Joe movies have also kind of been in a slump recently. But you know what? Hey, I'm here for this. I think this could be a good time to kind of let's mix the genre. I think G.I. Joe would do really well, coming together with the Transformers. That could be fun. That's a new avenue we haven't seen before. They're probably gonna do the whole end of the world thing again, but this time we got G.I. Joes, and they're pretty cool. I like the figures. I think they're pretty cool. I can't collect them because I already collect a bunch of bullshit, but I like it. I think it's neat, and it made one of my friends who I saw the movie with very happy, and I liked seeing that. That was very cool. So yes, G.I. Joe X Transformers, let's get it out there. Let's do it. In a couple years, I'll be back here reviewing that for you. And yeah, that's gonna do it for me here. So thank you for watching this review. I'm sorry that I kind of went through the entire franchise and probably made myself a lot more work than I needed to, but yeah, I do it. I'm making videos, so please watch them, share them, subscribe, like them, check out my horror channel, and yeah, that's gonna do it for me here, folks. So until next time, I don't remember. Luke usually does the outro for these videos, so yeah. Oh yeah, please silence your cell phones.